Solar power in typically gray, rainy regions? And tapping the sun's energy from the rooftops of trucks? Find out where, why, and how it all started in today's episode of Living Logistics. Welcome, I'm Deborah Friedman. This is Living Logistics from Bonn, Germany. I'm going to out myself right now by saying I'm a big fan of the sun. I like going to the beach and for walks on a sunny day. But I also think it's an amazing and abundant source of energy to power our planet. For some, achieving 100% renewable electricity may seem like a far-off pipe dream. But clean, non-fossil energy sources do in fact have the potential to meet all our needs. Every day, the sun gives off more energy than we need to power everything on Earth. A whole lot more. In just 1 hour, the amount of power from the sun that reaches the planet is more than the entire world consumes in a year. Although there's been a lot of progress in developing technologies to tap and store solar power, we still use only a fraction of the sun's potential to generate electricity. You've probably seen solar panels mounted on home rooftops, or maybe even solar parks with entire fields of photovoltaic modules. Now there's a new solar solution from the logistics industry: solar panels mounted on trucks. TRAILAR is the name of the company that came up with this clever idea that's conserving fuel, making road transport cleaner, and even driving down costs. Reporter Kristen Lehmann hit the road to track down the TRAILAR team and find out more. First stop, Manchester, England, where she spoke to the company's two co-founders, Aaron Thomas and Denny Hume.
One evening in my little terraced house in Oldham, where there is no sun, the next door neighbour was putting some solar panels on the roof, and I looked at the roof and I thought, the area on that is tiny, and we're in Oldham. How can the technology possibly have caught up to be able to produce enough energy for that house?
What began as a bright idea in the minds of Denny and Aaron has grown to be a multi-award-winning subsidiary of Deutsche Post DHL Group. The concept is as simple as it is effective.
We put solar panels on the top of commercial vehicles, which then offsets all the onboard electrical activities, which is normally taken from the battery and produced, and energy is produced by the alternator, which ultimately then comes from the tank, from the fuel tank. We replenish it from solar energy instead of it coming from the alternator and the tank.
Today's vehicles use a lot of electricity through lighting, air conditioning, and auxiliary heating. But why burn diesel when the sun can provide free, clean energy? Today, the roofs of over 1,000 vehicles around the world have been fitted with solar solutions from TRAILAR. The company employs over 30 people. Co-founder Aaron Thomas tells us more about how the idea came about.
So myself and Denny Hume, we was on a management development program. Part of the program was to do a project, and it was titled, what could seriously disturb the transport industry in the UK.
I think there was 6 of us in the project team, and there was only really two people who had any motivation. At the end, you'd have to pitch to the UK supply chain board, and to us, we were nervous about that. These guys were our boss's boss, and so we wanted to get it right. Obviously, the idea was predominantly going to be for trailers, so trailer, but then with solar. So it was just simple. When you think back, it's little things like that you laugh about, I guess. I mean, let's not forget, it felt like a school project back then when we started this.
Supplying commercial vehicles with solar energy. The idea for Denny and Aaron's first workshop was there, but they soon learned their first lessons and met their first challenges.
People think a sunny, bright day is the best conditions for solar. It's actually not. It's a freezing cold, crisp, light day with no clear day. That's when the solar panels are at the top performance.
You can't put typical monocrystalline solar panels on what you would see on a roof because they're too heavy, too fragile, and it just wouldn't work on a truck.
Finally, they found a company in the US that had exactly what they needed for their project: flexible solar panels. Light, about as big as a yoga mat and only 2 millimeters thick. Following the first successful prototypes, they founded the company in the autumn of 2018.
There was myself, there was Sid Wainwright, the accountant, and then there was Andrew Hartley, a commercial guy, and Stuart, and we're all sat in here, a tiny little room down here, no Wi-Fi, and we were actually pinching it off next door, the Wi-Fi, because we didn't have it set up.
A letter from Deutsche Post DHL Group CEO Frank Appel opened up new opportunities for the young company.
At that time, a letter came from Frank saying, if you've got an idea, an entrepreneurial spirit, do you want to work with other intrapreneurs as well, within the business? And it was like, yeah, wow, this is perfect timing. Let's put in for it. So we ended up putting in for the first Startup Lab program, and we were successful against 152 other teams, I think, across the globe.
Startup Lab is an incubator program for business ideas within Deutsche Post DHL Group. Once a year, a jury selects the most promising projects. From its headquarters in Bonn, Germany, Deutsche Post DHL Group then supports the founding of the company, as Thomas Ogilvy, board member for corporate incubations, explains.
That's something where we give the stage to our colleagues to actually demonstrate to the corporate board how much talent in our group lies.
The group also benefits from these startup projects.
Let's take TRAILAR, for example. This is an example where with our solar mats that we put on the roofs of the trailers, we can actually save fuel, make a contribution to our climate protection measures, and that's something where we have significant demand.
Back in England, Oldham, just outside Manchester, was once a boomtown of the Industrial Revolution. Today it's home to TRAILAR. Within walking distance from TRAILAR's offices are the warehouse and workshop. But today they're working outdoors. A good 3 meters above the ground, technician Ashley Howard stands on scaffolding to install one of TRAILAR's solar panels onto the roof of a truck.
Basically, we're just adding more wattage to the roof to give it extra power, especially on overcast days and poor condition days. It'll give it just that little bit of extra power just to keep the batteries fully charged and help use the tail lift.
Ashley moves across the roof on hands and knees between cables, the heat gun, and the new solar matting. Several steps are necessary to bind the solar mat securely and permanently to the flexible rubber-like material. Once the roof is clean, dry, and sufficiently warm, it's time to stick the mat in place.
We put the panel down, place it where we want it, start to peel back the backing off the sticky on the back of the panel, paying critical attention to the edges. If they lift, it can cause the panel to come off the roof. With how good this sticky stuff is, it should never happen.
The solar matting is securely in place. Time to head to the office for the quarterly meeting when the entire TRAILAR team comes together to review. By now, the team is so big that it barely fits in the large office. Where are things going well? Which major targets are within reach? Where is there room for improvement? It's clear at this meeting that there's no lack of tasks and projects to go around. But even though everyone has a long to-do list, it's also clear that the employees are happy.
It's probably one of the best working atmospheres I've ever been a part of.
We're all a big family.
If you want to go do something in TRAILAR, you can go do it. You put the effort in, you will see the benefit.
What about Aaron and Denny? Despite new challenges every day, they're happy with their decision.
Yeah, I loved my job at DHL. I absolutely loved it. And, when I look back and every day I thought I was lucky with the job that I had at that time in DHL. But no, there was just something telling me that and Aaron, that this was the right thing. And that's why we spent 3 years doing our own job plus this, because we just knew there was something there.
How do you like it?
TRAILAR. The name stuck even though the company has long since turned its attention to other applications besides trailers.
I think we've got 7 products now. The aim has always been to have a product for every single commercial vehicle. I think that the biggest challenge is trying to not get involved in too much stuff and stay focused on what we're here for.
So it's not just about trucks, etc. It's now about buses and various other vehicle types what are now coming into scope, all of which are super exciting.
The group's transport division, DHL Freight, uses the technology on its trucks. As of April 2019, half the fleet at Freight's site in Koblenz, Germany, is using the system. Freight can now see how much fuel they're saving with the solar mats. Alexandra Crudo, fleet manager at DHL Freight Koblenz, is a fan of the new technology.
The
TRAILAR system is really great. I'm proud that my employer, DHL, is one of the first to use it. Based on our experience, we can say that vehicles fitted with the TRAILAR system save between 1 and 2 litres of fuel per 100 kilometres.
The environment, the company, and the drivers all benefit from TRAILAR's solar solution. For driver Nico Stelea, it helps make his vehicle that much more dependable.
I'm really happy that my vehicle has this system. We save on resources. And if we go on vacation and the truck sits idle for 2 to 3 weeks, we can be sure the battery is charged when we get back. The system also ensures that the generator always works without any problems and is not overloaded.
In the garage right across the street from DHL Freight's Koblenz terminal, the technicians are up to their ears in work. This is an extra-large maintenance facility. 14 garages, each one of which can easily accommodate 4 40-ton trucks. We find the TRAILAR team in one of the garages. One of DHL Freight's 12-ton trucks rests on the shop's tile floor. The truck's battery case is open. A dismantled side panel lies on the floor next to a power cable and various tools. The 2 technicians, Ryan Gleason and Brendan Flate, flew in from Manchester just for the job. Their German colleague Thomas is also there. For 10 days now, they've been on the road in Germany.
We started 1.5 weeks ago and have been to 5 different sites. The vehicles are spread out across Germany. Koblenz here is our last stop. Then we head back to Manchester.
The retro fittings can be thought of as an upgrade. Trucks already fitted with the solar technology are fitted with newly developed components. The system's core component is the new load controller. Not much bigger than a shoebox, it regulates the incoming energy like a small command center. Not only that, it also provides real-time information on how much energy the solar panels are generating and when.
Today we're installing these new controllers along with additional sensors so that we can receive the data and make more transparent how much energy is actually being fed into the system.
So far, the work in Garage 14 in Koblenz is proceeding according to plan. Actually, better than planned.
We originally planned on 4 to 5 hours per vehicle for the retrofit. The first vehicle did take about 4 hours, but we were done with the second vehicle after just 2.5. As long as we don't encounter any major problems, we can do it now in about 2 hours.
Of course, not everything works perfectly right away. Technician Brendan talks about one of the challenges of the last several days.
There was a loose connection on one of the mats, so the mat wasn't working. So we had to rectify that.
For TRAILAR technicians, it takes just a few minutes. After about 6 hours in the garage, Thomas, Brendan, and Ryan are almost done. One last step and they'll have the 5th DHL Freight truck in Koblenz fully up to date. Ryan prepares the system for the final check.
We go through each individual sensor, make sure it's zero, and make sure that the data we will receive and we are receiving is accurate. That's the process before it all goes online.
Then it's time to move from the garage out into broad daylight. Clearly the best place to put the upgraded solar system to the test. While Thomas slowly backs the 12-ton truck out of the garage, Ryan prepares the tablet. With the help of a special app, he'll use the tablet to test the sensors. They'll soon know whether they did everything right during the retrofit.
Alternator is working, sensor 2 is working, and when we go into the sun, sensor 3 will tell us if the solar is charging.
So far, everything looks good. One last sensor still needs to be tested. Then hopefully Thomas, Ryan, and Brendan will be done. But they're still waiting on a stronger output from sensor number 3. As the sun moves out from behind the clouds, the performance at sensor 3 is right where it needs to be. Thomas, Ryan, and Brendan can rest easy. The truck is now ready to hit the road. Ryan smiles and leans up against the TRAILAR van.
I thought it was a fantastic idea. I thought it's a very simple idea that's been used in a way that no one has thought of, so I think it has massive potential. I think it's going to go big and it will revolutionise the way the transport industry is run.
The future certainly looks bright for TRAILAR. Thanks, Kristen Lehmann, for that report. Now I'm not just a sun worshipper, but also a big fan of that promising technology to green up entire fleets of commercial vehicles, to make road transport more sustainable. And who knows, maybe it won't be long before there's a similar solar upgrade solution for privately owned cars and camper vans too. I'd sign up for that. Making the most of solar energy doesn't necessarily have to be rocket science. Solar cookers are being used in places where fuel and electricity are scarce. There are also a lot of small and simple ways any one of us can use solar to power lamps or charge phones, loudspeakers, and other small devices. That can really reduce the need for single-use batteries and cut down your electricity bill at home too. Now there are even solar-paneled t-shirts and jackets, and bags and backpacks, complete with USB ports so you can power up your phone when you're on the go. You've been listening to Living Logistics. Join us again next time when we discover a variety of other ways to go green, in and outside the workplace. I'm Deborah Friedman. If you liked today's program, we'd love to hear from you. Rate us on your podcast app of choice and subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can also check out our Living Logistics website at dpdhl.com/podcast. Thanks for listening.